she said. Tom, darling, when you own your own Zen paradise, then you can decide where the water lily go. Until then, you just sign the checks. You don't get a say in my sanctuary. Everyone laughed. I just smiled and stayed quiet. But when she came back from her weekend away, her plans for a perfect oasis had become something else entirely, and the neighbor told her exactly why. My girlfriend Jessica and I, it became clear, operated on fundamentally different planes of existence. I believed that living in someone's house, sharing meals, contributing thought to upkeep, implied partnership, a reciprocal arrangement. Jessica, however, firmly believed she was a brilliant comet blazing through my life, and I was merely the accommodating vacuum through which she passed, offering only optional gravitational assist. We had been together for 2 years, and for the last 6 months, she'd lived in my home. My name was on the mortgage and utility bills. For a brief, bewildering period, a ridiculously ornate plaque by the front door declared, "The Oakhaven Residence," which she'd installed without consultation, a monument to her unilateral decision-making. That incident was an early harbinger of future declarations. I considered myself easygoing, a creature of quiet habits. My life revolved around my home office as a freelance illustrator. I had a small, loyal group of introverted friends. My idea of a wild Friday night involved artisanal frozen pizza and a documentary. It was a life I had carefully cultivated, a sanctuary of calm. Jessica, however, was a storm front, a whirlwind of perpetual motion and performative drama. Her life was a ceaseless, dazzling production, with her 3 best friends, whom I privately called the Harpies, as her devoted audience. Their names were Tiffany, Brittany, and Chardonnay. They amplified Jessica's most pronounced traits. The incident that precipitated the unraveling unfolded last weekend. I was in the kitchen, kneading focaccia dough. Jessica, glamorous and on her phone, swept in, talking loudly to her Harpy collective. "Oh my God? Yes, I am absolutely in," she shrieked. "A weekend spiritual wellness retreat is precisely what my soul is craving. My aura feels absolutely drained." She paused, then laughed. "No, he's not coming. He wouldn't know a chakra from a chinchilla. Bless his simple heart." She concluded the call, beaming at me. "Good news, Tom. The girls and I are heading up to the Whispering Pines Sanctuary for a transformational weekend, leaving tomorrow morning." This was the first I'd heard of it. My flour-dusted hands paused. "Oh, okay," I said, feigning enthusiasm. "Sounds spiritually enriching. Is that the one with the hot springs? Or the vegan detox spa?" It was a simple, conversational question. Jessica reacted as if I'd asked for a string theory breakdown in ancient Sanskrit. She let out a short, incredulous laugh, laced with pity, then turned to Tiffany, who had just entered the kitchen. "Can you even believe him?" Jessica exclaimed, rolling her eyes. "He wants to know the asterisk details asterisk of my sacred space. As if his grubby little hands would ever touch my Zen paradise." Tiffany scoffed, eyeing me with disdain. Jessica then pivoted back to me, adopting an authoritative stance. Then she delivered the line that would become the foundational scripture of my reconfigured life. "Tom, darling, when you own your own Zen paradise, then you can decide where the water lily go. Until then, you just sign the checks. You don't get a say in my sanctuary." The Harpies, now all in my kitchen, erupted into delighted laughter. A symphony of derision. A man, in his own home, in his own kitchen, being told he had no right to inquire about an expensive project she was planning for his backyard, a project he would entirely fund. Hilarious. I just stood there, focaccia dough clinging to my fingers. I didn't get mad. I didn't argue. A strange, Zen-like calm washed over me. The part of my brain that had tried to make this relationship a functional partnership simply packed its bags and quietly left. I looked at her smug, self-satisfied face, and returned her gaze with a big, friendly, utterly devoid of meaning smile. "You know what?" I said, with unsettlingly sincere affirmation. "You are 100% correct. My mistake. Entirely." They all laughed again, convinced I had capitulated. Jessica, the magnanimous victor, favored me with a condescending pat on the cheek. Then, with a synchronized sweep, they exited, off to some pre-retreat cocktail hour. Leaving me alone in the echoing silence of my kitchen, I remained there for a long moment, the only sound the gurgle of the proving focaccia dough. Okay, I said to myself. A new, interesting plan began to unfurl. Not married. No say in her sanctuary. Got it. The weekend, I decided, was going to be fun after all. Just not for her. Update 1. The moment Jessica's sleek SUV vanished down the street on Friday afternoon, I sprang into action. My first move was a mission of strategic intelligence gathering. I walked next door to Mrs. Gable's house, a charming cottage amidst meticulously cultivated roses. Mrs. Gable, a spry 80-year-old widow, had a sweet, grandmotherly smile that belied a mind as sharp as a chef's knife. Her prize-winning rose garden was legendary, but her true masterpiece was her unparalleled, neighborhood-wide surveillance network. Nothing transpired on our street without passing through Mrs. Gable's omniscient awareness. I arrived bearing lemon poppy seed cake. We settled onto her porch swing, discussing humidity and local squirrels. Only then did I turn to the matter at hand. Mrs. Gable, I began with solemnity. I find myself in a delicate predicament, and I require your unique talents to assist me. It involves, dare I say, a small but exquisitely orchestrated piece of theater. Her eyes, usually twinkling, lit up with glee. She loved drama. I recounted the entire episode, from Jessica's grand entrance to her pronouncement regarding my lack of say, and sure to repeat Jessica's exact words. Verbatim, when you own your own Zen paradise, then you can decide where the water lily go. Until then, you just sign the checks. You don't get a say in my sanctuary. The unvarnished truth was damning. By the time I concluded, Mrs. Gable was patting my hand, a look of righteous fury on her face. That shameless little hussy, she declared. Imagine, in your own backyard? Don't you worrying your kind head. Tom, you leave it to me. Now, what's my line? I presented her with a simple, potent script. When Jessica returned, full of self-important tales of inner peace, and discovered her backyard plans radically metamorphosed, she would seek access or information. Mrs. Gable's role was to appear, seemingly by chance, and with cultivated neighborly concern, deliver a few key pieces of information, echoing Jessica's own words with poetic irony. Mrs. Gable took to the task with the enthusiasm of a seasoned Broadway actress. With my accomplice secured, I returned home, focaccia dough still proving, to commence Operation Savage Garden Reclamation. My backyard, for 6 months, had been a battleground of competing visions. Jessica had transformed it, in her mind, into a future Zen retreat, a beige-hued canvas with meditation stones and enforced tranquility. It was a space, I realized with liberating clarity, that had never truly been mine since she declared her intentions. It was time to reclaim my territory. I didn't just cancel Jessica's highly priced biophilic integration landscaper. I savored the click. Then, I systematically liquidated every trace of her pre-purchased Zen paraphernalia, her impossibly smooth river stones, smirking Buddha statues, bamboo wind chimes that sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard, and organic cotton meditation cushions. I photographed each item and listed them on a local online marketplace as pre-loved spiritual artifacts, instant enlightenment guaranteed. Within hours, they were snapped up. The funds, I decided, would be donated to the local animal shelter. A small, non-marital gesture. With the backyard cleared, the cathartic phase began. I embarked on a shopping spree for items that screamed Tom, resonating with primal, unapologetic joy. I replaced her delicate sound of water feature with a robust, industrial-grade propane smoker grill. Her sad meditation mat was replaced by a sprawling, weather-resistant outdoor rug depicting a regulation-size football field. Her outdoor yoga bolster was tossed and replaced by deep, ridiculously comfortable Adirondack chairs, perfect for a cold beer. Her plans for a manicured koi pond were reimagined. The space was excavated for a magnificent, stone-ringed fire pit, an altar to crackling wood and roasting marshmallows. I installed a massive outdoor projector and retractable screen, transforming the back wall into an alfresco cinema. Adjacent, I erected a sturdy, rustic wooden workbench, complete with a vise and power tools. As a final, defiant flourish, I mounted a well-loved dartboard on the shed wall. To leave no doubt, I found tongue-in-cheek garden signs: no Zen zone, manscape in progress, and warning, may contain beer and bad decisions. It felt absolutely right. My final, and arguably most brilliant, move happened on Saturday afternoon. I drove to the local animal shelter, ostensibly just to look. An hour later, I was driving home with a magnificent, utterly shaggy Newfoundland puppy named Barnaby. Barnaby was not a small dog. He was a 150-pound, rapidly growing, furry, drooling, lovable wrecking ball. He immediately claimed an Adirondack chair as his throne, flopping down with a contented sigh and snoring with the resonance of a bear. He also, I noted, seemed to have an innate understanding of the joy of digging, a quality I was sure Jessica would abhor. The backyard was utterly transformed. No longer a showroom for sad, beige tranquility, it was a fortress of glorious, unapologetic bachelorhood, a testament to reclaimed autonomy. I spent the rest of the weekend playing fetch with Barnaby, initiating the smoker grill, and changing all the passwords. The new Wi-Fi network was Tom's turf, password knows in Zonell. On Sunday evening, I settled into my Adirondack chair, Barnaby's massive head resting in my lap, his snores a comforting rumble. I waited. The storm, I knew, was coming, and for the first time in a long time, I felt completely prepared. Update 2. Sunday night, around 9 o'clock, my video doorbell notified me. There she was, Jessica, sun-kissed and spiritually refreshed. The comedy began immediately. She tried her key. It slid in, but rattled uselessly against the new deadbolt. She jiggled it, annoyance flickering. She tried again, then let out an exasperated sigh, deflating her spiritual calm, and began banging. Barnaby, roused from a deep dog dream, lifted his massive head, let out a deep woof, then, with unflappable dignity, resettled and resumed snoring. Jessica called my phone. I watched it vibrate on the pinball machine, still not working, but charmingly glowing, sipped my beer, and hit decline. She called again. I declined again. This exquisite cycle repeated 5 times, each refusal chipping at her composure. The banging grew louder, more frantic. Tom, open the door. My key isn't working. I remained silent, serene. This was part of the show. After 5 more minutes of frantic pounding, she gave up, her energy waning. The doorbell camera showed her pacing, bewildered. Then, on cue, Mrs. Gable's porch light flickered on. Showtime, I murmured to Barnaby. Oh, Jessica, dear, is that you? Mrs. Gable called out, her voice a perfect blend of surprise and concern. Mrs. Gable, thank God, Jessica shrieked, her serenity shattered. I can't get in. My key isn't working. Is Tom home? I can see the lights on. Oh, Tom's home, dear, Mrs. Gable said, nodding sagely, eyes gleaming. He's had the most wonderful weekend. A real transformation. You might say transformation. What are you talking about? Jessica demanded, panic rising. Well, he told me the good news, dear, Mrs. Gable continued, leaning conspiratorially, her voice a stage whisper. He said you two aren't married. He said he doesn't get a say in anything you do, especially not in your asterisks and sanctuary plans. So, he decided to celebrate his newfound freedom. He's completely redecorated the backyard. You see, it's a man's savage garden now, he said. Very rugged, very. Tom, Jessica just stared, mouth agape in disbelief. And the best part, Mrs. Gable continued, barely containing her glee. He got a dog, a great big, beautiful, shaggy boy named Barnaby. He said he wanted a companion who was loyal and didn't talk back. Someone who understood the simple joys of a good fire pit and a vigorous dig. Isn't that just the sweetest thing? The look on Jessica's face was a masterpiece of disbelief, horror, and fury. She slowly turned and peered through the living room window. From my couch, hidden by Barnaby, I saw her face pressed against the glass. Her eyes widened, tracking the football field rug, the pinball machine, and then, with recognition, Barnaby, sprawled outside. Happily knowing a garden gnome, she let out a sound between a choked scream and a sob. She pulled out her phone, fingers flying, and began a furious barrage of texts. My phone, on the pinball machine, lit up with angry, all-caps messages and emojis. I decided to respond. I sent a single, simple text. You said to stop acting like we're married. You said I don't get a say in your sanctuary. I agree. This is my house, and my backyard, and you don't get a say in how I live in it. Since we're not married, and this is MY Turf, I've returned your non-marital Zen property by selling it and donating the proceeds to the local animal shelter. Your meditation cushions are gone. Your Buddha statues are gone. Your Zen rocks are now a border for Barnaby's favorite digging spot. Enjoy your spiritual wellness. Have a great life, with immense satisfaction. I blocked her number. The doorbell camera captured her reading the text. She looked at her phone. She looked at the backyard, where Barnaby enthusiastically reburied the Nomi. She looked back at her phone. Then she let out a scream of pure rage, a primal shriek, and hurled her phone onto my lawn. It was a spectacular meltdown. She ranted, pacing furiously, for 10 minutes before Tiffany arrived to pick up the remnants of her composure and her shattered phone. The next day, as anticipated, the social media campaign began. Vague posts about betrayal, toxic masculinity, and men who can't handle a strong, independent woman's vision. It was also utterly predictable. So Jessica. But I had one more card to play. Final update. The social media drama was predictable, yet incredibly boring. Jessica and the Harpies posted a relentless barrage of melancholy stories, their faces artfully arranged in sorrow and indignation. They waxed lyrical about knowing your worth, cutting out toxic energy, and healing from narcissistic wounds. It was so generic it almost achieved comedic brilliance. They tried to paint me as the villain with the emotional equivalent of a dull crayon set. I let them wallow for 2 days, allowing the narrative to build. Then, I provided context. I didn't engage directly. Instead, I made a single, carefully crafted post on my private social media page, visible to our mutual acquaintances who appreciated dry wit. It was a photo album, a before and after visual narrative. The first picture was my backyard a month ago, a desolate, half-dug expanse meant for Jessica's Zen retreat. Hasty diagrams, lonely meditation stones, the aura of an uninspiring spiritual theme park construction site. Caption: before. The second picture was my backyard now, the robust smoker grill, stained with grease, the football field rug, the glowing fire pit, sending wood smoke into the evening air, the sturdy workbench, and Barnaby, sprawled majestically on the turf, a contented, drooling sentinel. Caption: after. The final picture was a selfie of me and Barnaby, beaming with contentment. Barnaby's tongue lolled out. I held a frosty beer. The caption, a masterpiece of understated irony, was devastating. Decided to reclaim my sanctuary based on my new relationship status. It was brought to my attention that I'm not married and don't get a say in things. So I'm embracing my freedom. My turf, my rules. Hashtag bachelor life, hashtag Barnaby approved, hashtag no Zen zone, hashtag no, say no stay. Double quotes. The post was a nuclear bomb of irrefutable context. Its sheer pettiness, juxtaposed with Barnaby's undeniable cuteness, was a knockout blow of quiet revenge. My friends found it hilarious. The story, now with proper context, spread like wildfire. People who initially offered vague sympathy to Jessica now saw the full picture. The narrative was no longer psycho boyfriend destroys girlfriend's dream, but girlfriend tells boyfriend their relationship is a joke and is shocked when he believes her. Jessica's friends, the Harpies, went conspicuously silent. It's difficult to maintain a victim narrative when the alleged villain posts adorable pictures with his giant, lovable dog, basking in freedom. Jessica's aftermath was, as Mrs. Gable might say, rather rough. She crashed with Tiffany, an arrangement that, through the grapevine, lasted less than a week. Tiffany grew weary of Jessica's complaining and lack of household contribution. Jessica eventually moved back in with her parents in a small, dull town 3 hours away. Exiled from her urban performance space, she attempted legal action, surprising no one. I received a terse letter from an aggressively named law firm, demanding access to retrieve her wrongfully held property, her non-existent Zen paraphernalia, and financial compensation for being made homeless. My unflappable lawyer, with meticulous documentation, responded with my mortgage statement, property deeds, and a polite, devastating inquiry: would Jessica be willing to pay me back for 6 months of rent, utilities, and food consumed while living in my home as a non-married person with no obligations? We never heard from her lawyer again. It was a victory of simple, irrefutable logic. The funniest, most poignant part came a month ago. At the hardware store, browsing barbecue accessories, with Barnaby in the car, Chardonnay, the third harpy, approached me hesitantly, her usual effervescent energy dampened. "Hey, Tom," she said, subdued. "Look, I wanted to say I'm sorry about that night. We were out of line. All of us." I shrug. Jessica said what she said. I just took her at her word. Chardonnay. "Yeah, I know," she said, shaking her head. "She's a lot. She called me last week, complaining her parents are making her get a job. Her balconies and garden attempts aren't going well. Her dad keeps putting his fishing gear in her koi pond. Can you believe it? She said it was all your fault, that you ruined her life." She paused, then looked at Barnaby, a shaggy beast attempting to fit 2 tennis balls in his mouth. "Honestly, Tom," she concluded, a genuine smile breaking through, "it looks like you're doing just fine." And she was right. I am doing just fine. The house is no longer a beige-tinged battleground. It's my home. The backyard is no longer a contested dreamscape. It's a vibrant, gloriously messy space, perpetually smelling of wood smoke and possibility. The pinball machine still doesn't work, but it lights up, a gray conversation piece. And Barnaby, my loyal, drooling, cheerful companion, is simply the best roommate. He's loyal, funny, and never complains about my cooking. I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, the best revenge, in a grand scheme, sometimes, it's just listening to what people say, truly hearing their words, and then, with quiet conviction, believing them. Jessica told me, in no uncertain terms, who she was and what our relationship meant. I just agreed. She said I didn't get a say. And now, in her life, I truly don't. And, more importantly, in my life, she doesn't either. That, combined with a giant, slobbering, devoted Newfoundland dog, is a pretty happy ending indeed.